Buckle up there, metalheads. Today, we're diving deep into the dark side of touring with the notorious Motley Crue. From biting sprees to fatal crashes and band rivalries, get ready for a wild ride through the turbulent history of one of the most successful and controversial bands in rock and metal history. In the legendary Monsters of Rock tour of 1984, Motley Crue joined the ranks of rock heavyweights Van Halen and AC/DC. Tommy Lee recollected this time as the band's crazy biting phrase, where they had a peculiar habit of gnawing on each other. This habit almost led to their expulsion from the tour, as their bites were known to draw blood. Their manager, Doc McGee, disclosed in a 2015 interview on the Talk is Jericho podcast that the Van Halen biting incident quickly escalated into a massive altercation. He found himself apologizing for Motley Crue's unruly behavior. Other bands were not amused by Motley Crue's biting antics either. As Tommy Lee admitted, "I even bit Malcolm Young and he didn't like it either. We did that for a while until we got over it or realized how risky it was." In the winter of 1984, a band from Helsinki, Finland called Hanoi Rocks landed in Los Angeles to play their first ever gigs in Los Angeles. After hours of revelry at Vince Neil's residence, Neil and Hanoi Rocks' drummer Nicholas Razzle Dingley decided to take a spin in Tommaso Pantera's flashy sports car to a nearby liquor store. However, a heavily intoxicated Neil lost control of the car en route and collided with an oncoming vehicle. Razzle was rushed to the hospital but was declared dead at 7:12 p.m. The collision was fatal, and the two passengers in the other car suffered significant brain damage. When Neil and Razzle failed to return to the party, a worried Tommy Lee and Hanoi Rocks' guitarist Andy McCoy set out to find them. As they drove past the crash site, they spotted Neil in handcuffs being placed into a police car. They soon learned that Razzle had been taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. McCoy broke the devastating news to the band's manager, who in turn informed the rest of the band. The shattered group then returned to Europe to mourn their loss. Neil faced charges of vehicular manslaughter and driving under the influence in connection with the accident. His blood alcohol content was almost twice the legal limit in California at the time of the crash. In September of 1985, a Los Angeles County Superior Court judge sentenced Neil to 30 days in jail and 5 years probation. However, he only served 15 days. Neil was also ordered to pay $2.6 million in restitution to the victims of the crash and undertake 200 hours of community service. Motley Crue paid tribute to Razzle by dedicating their third album, Theater of Pain, to his memory. However, the band's later releases of two box sets titled Music to Crash Your Car To caused an uproar. Hanoi Rocks' lead singer Michael Monroe labeled the titles beyond disrespectful, pointing out that there's nothing amusing about death or ending up paralyzed for life. He further criticized the band, saying, "I'd say this gave Bad Taste a bad name." Rolling Stone reported that Guns N' Roses accused Motley Crue of ripping off their stage design and lightning rig to upstage them. Motley Crue denied these claims and accused Guns N' Roses of being hard to work with. The tension between the two bands reached its peak in September of 1987 when Guns N' Roses walked out of the tour after a heated backstage argument that reportedly turned physical. Despite the tumultuous events and acrimonious relationships, Motley Crue managed to continue their success in the music industry, releasing hit albums and going on numerous successful tours throughout the 80s and 90s. To wrap it up, Motley Crue's legacy has been marked by both triumph and turbulence, with conflicts and mishaps aplenty throughout their career. However, the band has shown no signs of slowing down, as evidenced by their highly anticipated reunion tour alongside Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Despite their troubled history on the road, Motley Crue has remained a driving force in the world of rock and metal, leaving an indelible mark on music history that will continue to reverberate for generations to come.